Salve omnes, and this is Acroasis XXVI, or video 26. Today we're going to be talking about personal pronouns. Now, a lot of these we have already seen, but we're going to actually fill them in context, more by case basis, and we're also going to be talking about some other forms of the pronouns that we haven't seen as much. So first, let's talk about first-person pronouns in English. So first-person pronouns in English are all the forms of I in the singular and we in the plural. Now, this is going to show where English is very, very irregular and inflected because these forms are not necessarily as regular as you would think. Now, singular, we have the forms I, my, and me. And in plural, we use the forms we, our, and us. First-person pronouns in Latin are going to be a little bit more regular. Singular forms are all going to start with M, and the plural forms all start with N. Now, remember, easy way to remember this is that M and N go together, just like in the alphabet, and kind of like the candy as well. Here's the chart, so take a look and note that the only exception to the singular starting with M is ego in the nominative, which we have seen before, meaning I. So we have ego, mei, mihi, me, nos, nostris, nobis, nos, nobis are the forms. And I put the translation next to each of them so you can see how they look in English as well as in Latin. Take a minute, pause the video, and write these down. Resume when you are ready. Now let's take a look at second-person pronouns and how they appear in English. So second-person pronouns are all forms of you in the singular and you all in the plural. Our second-person pronouns are actually not as inflected as the first and third-person pronouns that we have in English, so they're a little bit easier to remember. In singular, we have you and your, and in the plural, we have you all and your, in parentheses, more than one. Now, second-person pronouns in Latin are very similar looking to the first-person pronouns. The only difference is that the letters that initiate them. Singular forms are all going to start with the letter T, and plural forms will start with V. Just remember, you watch TV, and that will help you remember which consonant vowel set goes with which. So, singular and plural, you have tu, tui, tibi, tete, which is very similar to the ego, mei, mihi, me, with the double I in the dative, the E in the accusative and ablative, and the I ending in genitive. And then in the plural, you have wos, westris, wobis, wos, wobis. And this is exceedingly similar to the plural in first person, except now we have a V instead of an N. So that's why the you watch TV and M and N are important to remember the difference between those. Take a moment, write down this chart, and resume the video when you are ready. Now let's talk about third-person pronouns in English. Now, third-person pronouns are forms of he, she, and it in the singular, and they in the plural. And again, this is going to be a little irregular looking because this is where English is highly inflected and irregular. So in singular, masculine pronouns are he, his, and him. In feminine, we have her, she, hers, and then in neuter, we have it and its. In the plural, we use they, their, or theirs, and them. For third-person pronouns in Latin, they're going to be a little bit different than what we've already seen. Now, notice first and second person didn't have different genders. They just were the gender that they were in, which is applicable to whoever is using them. Third person, all forms all start with E, except for is and id, but they occur in all three genders. They occur masculine, feminine, and neuter. So there's going to be a lot more forms with this one. So if you want to have an easy way to remember that, E is for everybody else. This is what the singular looks like. Now I want you to take a moment and note that eus and ei remind you of another pronoun we've learned. Hic and ille. Remember that was huius and ilius in the genitive for all three forms, and in the dative it was ili and hui, both with that I ending in all three forms. This follows the same pattern of hic and ille. So that will help you remember these forms. Just utilize the E instead of hic, the hic or ille form. So is ea id, eus eum, eam, id, eo, ea, o. And I also put the translations to the side for you. Take a moment, pause the video, and write these down. Resume when you are ready. Plural still occurs in all three gender because Latin differentiates between gender even in the plural. In English, we just use they, but in Latin, you actually differentiate what type of they are we talking about. The masculine will focus on groups of men or groups of mixed gender. Feminine will only focus on groups of women, and neuter will focus on groups of objects or neuter words. So now let's take a look at how this appears. And again, remember, it's going to be in all three genders. So we have masculine, feminine, and neuter. And if you look after the E, the endings I, orum, is, os, is, and I, aurum, is, as, is, and a, orum, is, a, is, they're all from second and first declension. Remember, first declension is used for masculine and neuter. Remember, second declension is used for masculine and neuter, and first is used for feminine. And the translations are to the side. Take a moment, pause the video, and resume when you are ready. Demonstrate. So now we're going to use the charts that you've written to choose the correct pronoun to complete each of these sentences. Go on and pause the video, and then resume when you are ready and have answered each question, and we'll review. You are blessed with her friendship. Blank as beatus cum eos amicitia. Here we're trying to fill in the word for you. You here is nominative and singular, so we want to choose a, too. He flees us, blank fugit. Now we don't have an option that means he, so we must be looking for the word us. Now us is in the direct object case here, so we want to use nos. Now while nos can also be nominative, here it's the accusative as well as the nominative, so nos is the correct answer. Last one, look, I found it. Ecce, blank inveni. Now we don't have an option for I, but we do have a possibility for it. Now, when it comes to the word it, we're looking for a neuter form. So that means we're going to choose C, which is the neuter, accusative, and nominative singular. That concludes this video. Please make sure to fill out your Google form and ask any questions you need to in class. Volete omnes.